we're going to dive in now to today's topic. And for our audience
Hi.
who's going to be tuning in, and especially our Pakistani audience, I just want to briefly say that transformative technology is basically a term for any technology that is used to increase human well-being, human enhancement, productivity, or in general, just improve human life. So anything that we're doing with technology that does that is called a transformative technology. With us today, we have a representative from WonderTree. WonderTree is a Pakistani company that makes augmented reality games, and these are designed for the therapy and education of children with special needs. WonderTree has a variety of movement-based therapeutic and educational games that children can play and enjoy while learning and developing cognitive and motor skills. And today with us is the CEO himself, Waqas, and Mohammed Waqas and his co-founder, Usman, and their passionate team are redefining special education and therapy by making it cheaper, efficient, and accessible to everyone. In the 3 years that WonderTree has been operational, it has not only been able to change the lives of differently abled children and their families, but has also represented the Pakistani startup ecosystem globally in a positive light. WonderTree was awarded third prize at GIST, the Global Innovation Science and Technology Competition, in 2016 at Stanford University. And they competed there with 1,072 startups globally. They were the winners of APSCA Award, which is the Asia Pacific ICT Alliance Award, also in 2016. Before becoming an entrepreneur, Waqas was a seasoned marketer. He worked with a lot of local and international brands in Pakistan, like telecom companies and USAID, Red Bull, Dettol, and many others. He's a public speaker. He's a Rotaract member, TEDx, and he is very keen on supporting and developing the entrepreneurial ecosystem of Pakistan. And he believes in the talent, zest, and creativity of Pakistanis. And he also believes that a good business can be both profitable and, while growing, have a positive impact on society. And his company, WonderTree, is proving just that. So that's what today's talk is about, is the journey of this very recognizable Pakistani company and a transformative technology company. In fact, usually when I introduce transformative technology to people in Pakistan, which was a new term even for me last year, when I took part in the academy, I said, well, I didn't know it was called this. So when I try to explain, I say, you know that company, WonderTree, that's making those AR games? Most people are like, yeah, I think I'm like, yeah, that's a transformative technology company. So I'm very happy to have Waqas here to speak for himself. And I have made a bunch of questions for him. And Waqas, if there's anything you would like to add to that introduction, or should we jump into the questions?
That was a very long and flattering introduction. I think that's more than enough.
Okay, so Waqas, what was the inspiration behind WonderTree?
So the inspiration was actually from my co-founder, who's also my neighbor and my friend, Usman. Usman has an older brother who's a slow learner. And one day Usman walked, basically, he walked into his room and he saw his brother playing his Xbox, Usman's Xbox, and Usman noticed how motivated and engaged he was while he was playing the game. So that's where the inspiration came from. So, Usman was really eager to recruit me. We both saw a clear gap in our society for a product like this. When we talked to a lot of parents, we talked to a lot of teachers and schools, and we saw a clear demand and a positive reception for a product like this as well. And that was the inspiration and starting of WonderTree.
Okay. And so I think one of the questions I have is that, so you saw that he was playing games and that he, otherwise wasn't interested in learning per se. So you figured that you would use games to get his attention. Is that right?
So it's more deeper and complicated than that. So Usman's parents had uh, enrolled him out of the school about an year ago. And the reason for that was because they felt that he was not learning in the school that much, and his brother also felt ashamed of going to the school because he said that he is very old and all the children in the school are very younger than him. So that was one of the reasons why he was staying at home. But because he was staying at home, he was not getting any interaction done. He was not developing himself. So that was the main problem that Usman and his family were facing. That how do we make sure that our son or our brother develops in the right manner or has the right type of interaction or development. So that was the challenge, the initial challenge. But once we started talking to other people, other therapists, other parents, we found out that there are a lot of parents who don't even know which school to send a child to. And when you talk about Pakistan, there aren't enough schools, there aren't enough therapy centers, there aren't enough therapists out there to meet the needs of the parents. So there was a clear gap that we found to fulfill, and that's where we thought that we can work.
Thanks. I'm just noting down a question that I'm going to come to later based on what you're talking about. So, but going with the program that I've kind of created is, how did you and Usman then decide that you were going to start this company? So, because I mean, it's one thing to have an idea, it's another thing to take an idea and execute it and launch it and make something. So, how did it go from that, like chai, you're having it in the drawing room and you're talking about this, and then you created it?
So, as all entrepreneurs would know, it's a very long, hard, tiring, and interesting and inspiring process. Uh, but it was really interesting because I was at a point where I had left my job. I was working in a renowned advertising agency in Pakistan, where I would work for brands and everything. And then I had recently left my job and started my own digital marketing agency, which was doing very well. It was, I knew the tools of the trade and I knew how to operate it, and everything was going well. But then there was a certain point where I said that I don't want to do marketing or advertising anymore. I want to work on something which I can give back to the society or the community. I believe that is my true calling. So I was in a way, I was at the stage where I was searching for another good cause to work on. And lo and behold, Usman one day calls me and says that he wants to meet me. So he never says this. He just says that, hey, let's hang out. So I knew that he must he wants to talk to me about something serious. So when I met him, he told me that this is something that he has been working on. I had known about it, but I didn't know in such detail that he has gone so far and he has done some research and he's trying it out and everything. He said that I need somebody with your expertise on board. And at that time, Usman had just completed his university. So he had just graduated and he had no plans of doing a job. He said that all he wanted to do was to run a startup. And he found that this is a viable idea. Number one, because it involves technology and Usman loves technology. And number two, because, it's a personal cause that Usman really wanted to work on. So I think our paths were supposed to collide. And then the finishing act was that we got selected in Nest.io, the incubator in Karachi. It's partially funded by Google. And we got a brilliant mentor, the lady who heads the incubator, Jahan Ara. She was a really strong supporter. She was a really strong believer in the idea, even when we thought that uh, uh, we have it's getting overwhelming, or we have bit off more than we can chew. So she really helped us. Then we had wonderful mentors, and we had wonderful peers around us who encouraged us, and especially the parents. So as a part of our research, we used to go and talk to a lot of parents, and um, a lot of the parents used to get really emotional, and a lot of parents used to get really happy that we're doing something about this, and they used to say that thank you so much that you're working on it. And we ended up making a couple of promises with a couple of parents that they promised us that you will not let this go, you will work on it. And we said that we promise that we will work on it, and we wanted to hold true to that promise, plus the motivation and support that we got. So it was a mixture of all the things, but especially the passion that Usman and I had. And I will say that we have been extremely lucky that the team that we got, the people that we hired, they saw eye to eye with us in terms of the vision that we had, in terms of the passion that we had, and they have matched till this day. They have matched the passion, and right now WonderTree is being carried forward by the team. So it was, you can say it was a mixture of too many good things happening at the same time to drive us forward.
I think that's great. So just to sum it up, you know, uh, your co-founder being so passionate, taking it to a cause, you saw how much seriously, so you decided, let's see if we get incubated. You got it, you got mentored, but then things got tough. But because you had been announcing it to the world, and then you were held accountable to it by these
Yeah,
parents who said, now you can't back out.
yeah,
You gotta complete this mission for us because we need you to do it. And so I think that that's something amazing for other people who in Pakistan, as we know, a lot of people, so much talent, but we're hesitant sometimes to take that first step. So just putting yourself out there, just telling people what you want to do can sometimes keep you going on that path and keep you motivated on that path as was experienced by you. But another
absolutely.
another question though is, Waqas, what was the initial reaction of your family when you shared Usman's vision and idea? I want the unfiltered truth. What did they tell you when you
Sure.
said, I'm going to make this game for special kids and therapy and education? So you're combining games, which already doesn't have much seriousness in our society, with social and philanthropic work, which is also this idea that is not going to make you money. So what did your mother and father and other people say?
So my mother and father were already getting fed up of me because I had left my job. And when I left my job, the excuse that I made was that I'm going to do my MBA, so I need undivided attention. So that got me a green signal from my office because they weren't letting me go, and then from my parents that okay, fine, yeah, you can go and leave your job. But what, like it I never intended to do my MBA. I wanted to start my startup. So I started by starting my digital marketing agency. So they were already worried that what is my son up to? What is he doing? So every other morning, my mother would say that it's very prominent in the Pakistani culture that look at auntie so and so's son, he's doing a job over there. Can't you get a job over there? Aren't they not hiring you? Or look at so and so, you look at your cousins, they're working in good companies, well reputed companies. Can't you get a job there? My uncle would call me from Qatar saying that look, if you're having difficulty finding a job, why don't you come to Qatar and I'll hook you up? You can work with me. I work in construction. You could work over there. So this was going on, and then I switched. It was a very tough decision to close down my company, the marketing agency, and then switch to something which is purely based on technology and education and psychology and therapy, which I knew absolutely nothing about, and starting from scratch, starting all over again. But to my parents, it was, I was on the same boat as I was, when I had quit my job, my actual job. But the break, and same was the case in Usman's house as well. So Usman is a coder. He is not a very social person. He doesn't talk much. I am a talker. So I used to do the talking to both of our parents. So I used to talk to my parents, and then I used to go to Usman's house and do the talking over there. I used to say, "Don't worry, uncle. It's going to work. We just need a couple of more months to get it off the ground, and good things are happening and everything." Because he was very concerned. He wanted his son to go and get some company experience, like again all Pakistani parents want their sons and daughters to do. But the breakthrough came when we won GIST, the Global Innovation through Science and Technology award at Stanford University. Uh, and so basically, we were doing the same thing we were doing, and I had the opportunity to go to the US because I was one of the finalists. I pitched over there and we won. And I was doing the same thing. The entire team was doing the same thing the next day as well, which is working on the games, working on WonderTree. But what happened was that the success got picked up by every news channel, every blog in Pakistan. So it kind of went viral. So I started getting calls. My Usman's parents started getting calls that, "Oh, we're so proud of your son. You guys are doing an amazing job." And that actually opened a lot of doors for us as well in terms of going ahead, getting partners to try our games with. But on the parent side, it was a validation stamp for both of our parents. They stopped bugging us. They suddenly started saying that we're proud of us, and all the relatives, who used to say that these kids don't know what they're doing or they can't get a job. They suddenly stopped that, and they suddenly started, cheering us up. That's my boy, that's my nephew, and everything. So that was a kind of funny story, but it worked in our favor.
And that's amazing. So I guess nothing succeeds like success, and until you're successful, there are so many doubters. But you guys had a vision, and you believed in each other. I think you and Usman,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and it's pretty amazing. Can you tell us regarding your mission and vision that I think you've shared quite a bit on why you started, but now you've been you've been running a company, WonderTree, for 5 years. I mean, 16, 17, 18, roundabout. So in these last 5 years, has your mission and vision changed or broadened, or gone to a different place than where you were when you initially started out?
Not really, because we started with a very audacious and ambitious mission that we're going to make special education and therapy cheaper and accessible for every child in the world. That was our mission from day one. We never wanted to do something that was only local, because we knew that this problem not only exists in Pakistan but in all of the underdeveloped countries, and even so in the developed countries, this challenge exists of lack of therapists, of lack of special educators, of lack of facilities for all of the children who can benefit from it. So it has just it has not evolved. It has not changed. It has been the same. We have just now realized that this is a very big mission that we have undertaken. Previously, when we started, we were, I would say that we were kids in terms of our experience. We were naive as well, and we picked up this mission. We're still at it. We're very proud of it. But now we do truly understand that what it takes and what it means to achieve that mission. And I think it would be just an amazing feat of success. You can say that it's something worth accomplishing, something worth striving for, something worth spending all these years of your life for, if you're able to accomplish it. And I believe that we're well on our way.
Yeah, I believe that as well. So now a little bit about the financial aspect, which is, so how did you fund the first year of your startup?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Every startup struggles with funding. I think we struggled a bit more because uh, of our product. The nature of our product is such that in Pakistan, education is not seen as a unfortunately not seen as a primary need. And then when you talk about special education, it is not even on the radar. But we were lucky in the sense that Usman and I, we have been very resourceful, both of us, and both of us, have we are very low maintenance. So we didn't require a lot of money. All we needed was, enough money to charge our phones, have a balance on our phones, and pay the fuel for our car. I vowed, the day that I left my job, that I would not take any money from my parents. So it was challenging as well, surviving on absolutely and very low income. But the thing that got us through was, number one, bootstrapping. We were able to find very creative ways to get the things that we want for free, get the work done for free, not in a bad way, but like pulling some strings, making some connections. The Nest really, really helped. John Ara, our mentors really helped us out as well. They were able to connect us to the right people. And then uh, because we won a few competitions, some of them you named as well, we were able to get some grant or prize money as well. And we really sparingly were able to use that at the right moment so that we don't burn out of cash, but we are able to make progress. So it was a very slow and painful, journey up to becoming cash flow positive, but we were able to bootstrap our way out of it.
And before you won these competitions, was it just you and Osman? Did you have any other employees?
At Before we won the competition, there was a time where we had 8 team members, including me and Usman, but all of them were interns, and all of them were working for us because A, we promised them that you'll be able to work on, the cutting edge and coolest technology, and B, you will get to work at the Nest. So the Nest is a really cool Google-like, hip place. So everybody wanted to come there. It has a really good vibe. So we were able to leverage these things for ourselves. But the core team member were 4 before we won the competition, and for a large extent of WonderTree's life, we have not exceeded 6 full-time paid working members, including Usman and myself.
I'm just trying to kind of understand and help others who are on the journey learn from, a lot of people say we bootstrapped, but it's like, what is the recipe to bootstrap? I mean, what does it mean that you had 8 interns? Where was the incentive? Were these school going university grads, or were these post grads? Did you promise them stock? So any little bit of detail if you could share on that initial maybe 6 month period before you, perhaps even when you were in the process of applying, and if you could walk me and the people who are here through that journey.
Sure, sure. So the definition of bootstrap for me is that you want to get something done and it requires money. It requires $30 or it requires $100. So for me, bootstrapping means finding out a way to completely eliminate the money part and still getting that thing done. For example, we our services require a lot of cloud hosting and other services, machine learning services. We were able to get them from Microsoft because Usman was a student of Bahria University, so and at that time, Bahria University was partnering up with Microsoft to give free credits worth hundreds of thousands of dollars to the students who were, who were worthy enough, or who were saying that they filled so and so criteria. So Usman was able to get those credits, and not only get those credits, but he was able to extend those credits as well. So that's how we took care of, for at least for 3 years, we took care of our all our cloud and hosting and machine learning algorithm and everything needs, and even Microsoft ticketing. So that's one example. Then we needed graphic designers, we needed developers, but we didn't have money. So we didn't have money. So what we did was, uh, I was very well connected to all of the top schools, FAST and IBA. So I reached out to my friends over there saying that there is a very amazing, internship opportunity, and you get to learn a lot, because we knew that we couldn't offer money, but what we could offer was that you will learn a lot. You'll get a certificate, and you'll get to work at the nest. So we were every intern, every candidate that used to walk into the into the room with us for interview, if we thought that he was worth keeping, then he wouldn't be talking in the interview. We would be talking. We would be selling. What if you work at WonderTree? These are the benefits you'll get. You'll be on an amazing roller coaster ride, and you'll have flexible work hours. You can work from home. You can do this. You can do that. So these type of things, and we we also, ever since the beginning, we have believed in uh, team bonding. So we've always eaten lunches together. Till this day, Wonder Tree, sits together, and we eat lunch together. We share our lunches. So there was a sort of community building that has been the key glue that has kept the Wonder Tree team together. So that was the same with interns as well. We used to treat them very well. So that kind of replaced their need or their want for money, at least till the time they were working for us. So we were able to get some barter deals. Whenever a mentor used to walk into the desk, we would used to Google them. We would used to go on the LinkedIn and see what they do, how we can get a deal from them, how we can get something for free from them, and we were able to get a lot of things done. We were able to get our marketing done for free. We were able to get again the credit for free. We were able to get a couple of equipment for free. So that was the definition of bootstrapping. However, there were places where definitely we needed money. We needed money to survive ourselves as well. For that, since our product was not complete and we couldn't earn revenue by selling it, so we opted for grants. We opted for other business competitions that if we can win them, they would give us the money, and that money was used very sparingly. But that was for 3 years, up till the point that WonderTree became cash flow positive. That was our go-to strategy: get grants, win business competitions, so that you can get money, so that you can develop the product, so that you can sell it and get cash flow positive. And on our fourth year, we were able to actually, at the end of the third year, we were able to finally have a product ready that we sold, and then earn revenue, so that we can, be cash flow positive.
That's excellent, and such a rich description and manual for others on what you did, going from knocking down doors that you knew to identifying the doors that you didn't know but were walking in and seeing how they could help you. And when you met someone that could help you, even if it was an intern, you were figuring out how to barter and how to sell
Yeah.
yourself rather than pretend that, oh, you sell yourself as an intern to me. You're like, no, I understand that you're someone of value. Look, here's what I can offer you instead. So I think that's really great. I have a couple of follow-up questions. One of them, and since you've talked about both of them, you can take whichever one you want first. One is on the organizational culture, which was, did you consciously define that? Like you say that you talked about, we decided we would eat lunch. And so what is your organizational culture to today? And Did you formalize it? Did you write it down, or was it just this idea that you practiced and it became the unspoken norm? And then the second question is on your current business model, which you say is cash flow positive, and how grants took you to that point. So how did you become cash flow positive, and how did you get your audience to pay for your product? So those are the any order you like. Those are the two questions: the culture and the
So
business model.
yeah, I'll answer the culture question first. So Usman and I really strongly believe in the culture we create. Initially, we just wanted to create a very nurturing and close and warm environments where everyone can work with everyone and everyone can learn from everyone. And one of the reasons why I personally wanted to create that was because in my previous jobs, wherever I had worked, I had seen a toxic culture, and I could see firsthand that how the toxic culture is hindering the performance, is holding the employees back, and how the employee literally wants to run away, and the only thing that is holding the employee back is the paycheck at the end of the month. So, and I personally saw in my last company that I had worked for was a tussle between two department heads, literally tearing down the organization and punching a hole in their revenues, just because there was a tussle or an ego issue between those two department heads who were supposed to work together and lead the company to success. So I was fortunate enough to learn that, see that, and drive my findings from it. And Usman was also very humble and very down to earth. So we said that we're going to form a culture where we can help each other out, we can learn from each other, and we value the culture where we value learning and self growth more than experience, because we all of us, including the founders, which are Usman and I, were doing something for the first time. So we value creativity and learning and thinking on your feet more than other things. And I believe that the people we got, they were also outliers. They wanted to do this. They wanted to prove to themselves that they can do it, and they wanted to try something new. Because I believe that for all of us, we knew at the back of our heads that if it's just the money or if it's just the paycheck, we can easily get a job and earn that paycheck wherever we want to. And culture is one of the things that I have personally spent a lot of time developing in WonderTree. And now that we are a team of 16 people, I can see it paying off. I've seen my team reject multiple offers, which I can never match from renowned companies, because they just want to be associated with WonderTree. They want to work with each other, and it's a very good support system. I've seen my team say that the WonderTree, coming and working at WonderTree, has cured their anxiety, has helped with their depression, because of the support system that we have, because of the laugh that we have, because of the bonding that we have. And it's really it's really good and heartwarming to hear that. So that's the part on culture. The part on business model, you say.
Hold on,
So,
one second, Waqas.
for sure,
I want to
sure,
pry a
sure,
little
sure.
bit more on what when you say that there's a support system in your company. So, what does that look like? What is the support system that helps employees reduce their anxieties and depression? Because I think that's a very rich thing that a lot of companies can learn from, and also on how you created that from the start, but it paid off dividends later. So, what does it look like having a supportive work environment? What does that mean?
So the number one motto at working at WonderTree is help others first. So if you're stuck at anything, if you're working and you're stuck and you come to me or you come to anybody else, they're supposed to stop whatever they're doing and they're supposed to help you out with your work. And this is something that we led by example. Usman led by example. I led by example. So that sort of, and then that sort of trickle down to other things, which are not work related as well, like personal issues. I would personally I still do it now as well, but I used to, when we were a team of 7 or 8 people, I used to personally see how everybody is doing. And whenever I would see a person, a team member who was demotivated or didn't seem like they were in a good or chirpy mood, I would talk to them one on one in private, ask them about what's going on. Most of the time it was a family matter. It was something I offered my help. I used to counsel them as well. And then it became such a, you can say, a trustworthy environment, an open environment where people would share their burdens out loud as well. And that helped me in turn as well, because uh, during the third year of WonderTree, right before we went cash flow positive, my father passed away. And that was a very bad and tough time on me as well. And I could see that my team was there for me as well. They were around my house. They were taking care of the company. Nobody bothered me. There was a lot of fires that they dealt with themselves, even though they did not have the capacity, but they did their best, and they were able to overcome the challenges. So, and that is carrying forward till this day as well. Now we're 16 team members, and my job, I think, is to ensure that this culture never dies, and this proliferates. And yeah, so I think it's the small things. And one of the biggest things that I would say that has helped build this culture is that every afternoon we sit together. It's customary for Pakistanis to sit on the floor and eat. So we did that because we didn't had a big enough table for all of us to dine on. So we used to spread a mat on the floor, and then we used to sit down, and then we used to share our meals. So whatever that people have brought for lunch, we would just lay them on the floor, then, and everybody would share and eat. And I think that really formed a very warm connection. And then we used to laugh, we used to tell jokes, we used to talk about anything and everything except for work. And recently we have started this thing that we watch a sitcom. We were watching Friends, and now we're watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and we're watching Fresh Prince. So we do these type of stuff. And then we go on picnics, and we go on dinners. We try to celebrate every small win that we have. So I think that has created a close and a warm culture that has allowed these things to happen.
Sounds like a wonderful place to work. And so this motto of yours, helping others first, is it something that's also written, or is it just something you say to each other?
So that's something which is implied. It's not written, and it's
Okay.
not even said to each other as well. But I think now is the right time, and I've been told and I've been asked to write down as well. So now I think I'll take this for myself to write down all these things uh, for the future team members of WonderTree who are going to join from now on. But what I try to do is I try to lead by example. So when you walk into WonderTree, it's something that is implied. I mean, nobody's going to tell you, but it's going to happen. If I go to somebody, they're going to help me first before they complete their task.
Okay, so since we're running short on time and there are a few questions in the chat, let's spend a few minutes quickly on discussing, having listening to you on what made the business model profitable and moved it away from grants towards revenue generation, how that happened.
Sure. So I'm going to try to be as concise as possible, so you can ask me as many questions as possible. Would like to answer all of them. But if you want me to go in detail, please let me know. So the grants allowed us to hire a proper team. Previously, we were just running on interns. Have a marketing budget, have a proper development and testing budget, uh, be able to afford proper equipment like proper laptops. We were working on broken laptops when we started. So that allowed us to finally develop a product. And I believe that since our product was so new and so unique, it took us time. It took us a lot of trial and error. It took us a lot of back and forth with the parents or with the children, to see how the game is working. And thankfully, that part was covered with the grant. That burn rate area was covered by the grant those years. And finally, like when the grant ended, we had a polished enough product. I wouldn't say that our product is still 100% polished, but the product at the end of the grant was so polished that we were able to sell it and get money for it. So that's how we were able to do it. And we were also creative. So a lot of our big breaks, come from CSR initiatives where that in Pakistan there is people don't have a lot of purchasing power. So what we do is we try to sell, we try to give our solution, our games to the people who deserve it, but we try to get money from elsewhere. For example, we approach Samsung that would you like to sponsor these many children for an year? They said yes. Now we're talking to several telecom companies as well. So this has also been a source of revenue for us. So we give to our audience, but we collect money from somewhere else.
Hmm.
We have also developed a cross-subsidy model where we charge higher prices from an organization which we know can pay well. For example, they're a government-backed entity, or they're located in a posh area where people can afford money, and then we charge very less money from underprivileged areas where we know that they can't pay well. And we have sponsorship programs as well where we try taking equipment and installing it over there. So there are different models because in Pakistan you need to be creative, especially when you're working in a field like this. But we have been able to make it work, barely, but make it work.
So what's the number of uh, beneficiaries to your or users of your product so far, and where
So
are they based?
right now we have 6,500 users. They're based all across Pakistan. And in COVID, we started marketing this outside of Pakistan as well. So now they're based out of, some of them are in Qatar, in UAE, in Hungary. And now we're trying to focus our attention on the US market as well. But they're primarily like 90% of them are based out of Pakistan.
Excellent. So, um, well, I'm going to deal with some of the questions from the audience, because I'm mindful of your time. And if we can go past a few minutes, I have a question left for you. Well, maybe two questions left for you. But let's say one question is, what kind of projects is WonderTree working on right now?
So there are a couple of projects that we're working on. Number one are the games. We are now focusing on B2C market. So previously, all of WonderTree's life, we have been focused on B2B. So we have been selling it to hospitals, to schools, to clinics, to NGOs, to government. Now we're starting to sell it to directly individual consumers, and that is one of the reasons why we're targeting markets outside of Pakistan, because they have they are more receptive towards B2C uh,
Hmm.
purchasing. So that's project number one. Apart from this, we have also been able to spin off a version of WonderTree called WonderTech, which provides services to companies. And that started because people started approaching us, saying that we know that this is not what you do, but since you work on augmented reality, can you develop a product for us? So we have worked for a couple of renowned companies for Pakistan, such as GSK, Farm Evo, Daud Hercules, Lucky One. So that is also now a branch of WonderTree, side by side, which works on external projects. These are the two main things. The last thing, which is something really cool that we're working on the technology side, is using artificial intelligence for human pose estimation or human pose detection, which is going to allow our games to be played on mobile phones as well as low-end laptops. Something really cool.
Yeah, that does sound really fantastic and cutting edge also. Rania is asking what you would advise or recommend for new founders, especially during this time of uncertainty. So, do you have anything to say about somebody who's thinking of making a new business right now? What they should particularly be thinking about?
So I think so for an entrepreneur, all your life, all your business years are going to be spent in uncertainty. To be told, and I think it's a very good place to start. The COVID scenario has really opened a lot of doors. Just an example, if you Google, the edtech increase, you'll find that the edtech increase. I don't exactly know the numbers, but the edtech market for online learning and everything has increased tremendously because of COVID. And similarly, there are a lot of business avenues that have opened. So nothing has really changed except for the way that we now do business, if it is permanent. So I think, and one of the skills that an entrepreneur has is to make take advantage of the things around you, take advantage of the people around you, or not in a bad way, like you. But I know what you know what I mean. Uh,
Hmm.
uh, and the circumstances and the trends that are going on. And if you look at all the successes there are in the world, they are all the people or all the startups that took advantage of the things that were happening in front of them. So it's never a bad time, I would say, to start a business.
Hmm. So you're saying seize the opportunity. In fact, when the technology, ed tech, and some industries are indeed doing very well during this time. And as an entrepreneur, you have to embrace uncertainty no matter when
Yeah.
you work. Umair Zia has a comment, sort of a comment and a question, which is asking about, as these games, some of these games are motion based, and he also privately mentions Kick Up and Bubble Pop, some of the tracing games, and he's talking about, okay, is there a application to use them to fight childhood obesity?
Certainly, yes. Since these games are movement based and they promote movement, they can absolutely be used for child obesity. And another very interesting case for them is for physiotherapy of senior citizens. And we have been approached by organization from Japan to talk about this as well, that if they can, somehow form a collaboration or something going. But there are a lot of use cases for these games, and yes, it can be used for obesity.
And so a spin-off on that on my end is, what do you think it would take for you to say that it's not just a justified use, but it's a proven use or it's a clinical use? So in terms of monitoring and evaluation, and because these days, as you know, with mental health games, especially in the UK, NHS has been approving certain games for anxiety or as treatments of depression. And I know that the Pakistani, medical board is not as mature. I mean, we don't even have a licensing board for therapists or psychologists. But what are your thoughts when it comes to proving the effectiveness of your tools?
So there are a couple of methods that we go about when we want to prove the effectiveness of our tools. Number one is you tried by yourself. So a lot of the parents and teachers, they have tried the games. They have said that they work. We have a lot of success stories. We have a lot of testimonials saying that these games work. These games have had helped their children or their students in such and such capacity, in such and such ways. And that is the number one or the lowest hanging fruit that we have claimed for validation. Moving up the ladder, we have our own reporting system. So the platform comes with games as well as with the reports. And in those reports, every time a child finishes a game, the report is uploaded. and you can view and monitor the report and the progress of the child. The third way we are validating ourselves is through research papers. We have partnered with a number of institutions in Pakistan which have tried our games. Some are in the process of writing the research paper. Some have already written the research paper and now we're waiting to publish it. And the last process for us for validating our games is going to be a proper official clinical trial. Unfortunately, we do not have the money right now because clinical trial costs hundreds and thousands of dollars. But we're very optimistic that as soon as we uh, get an investor on board, or if we can partner with some of the big universities like Stanford University or some other big university, medical university, we would definitely start doing clinical trials on WonderTree as well.
Which brings me to the question. You mentioned, so there are a few universities and a few researchers who are now conducting research. So was this the same as your initial philosophy, that they approached you, you saw an opportunity, you sold it? Because it seems that that is exactly what you probably did. So you are
Yeah,
getting research papers made with people who just want to do it because they're interested for their own purposes, whether it's to write a paper or to get published or to complete their thesis requirements. And you were like, yeah, it's you sold that. Oh, my product is the richest product
yeah,
you would find. So is that it?
yes,
So
yes, something very similar. Yes,
I really like how your mind works, and I've gotten an idea of how you have created a market and an outreach and an audience, and how you've managed to sell your product. As it is at 8:30, we're going to end the official recording, but I think members can stay around and have some informal chat with you and with each other. Thank you, everyone who's been with us.